G'day, thanks for tuning in.
Hi everyone and welcome to Parkside Live. Thanks for joining us as we continue our series on wisdom, and we're talking about how we recognise wisdom.
I learned to drive in a beat up old station wagon, which are, I think, disappearing. So before I had SUVs in the world, which sit quite high up, I had something that looked like an SUV with a big cargo space at the back, but it was quite low to the ground. They called it a station wagon. And my father had an old car that when I was learning to drive was probably about 20 years old then. And he taught me to drive, he taught my sister to drive, he taught my brothers to drive in it. And after I learnt to drive, I then wanted to push the boundaries a bit. And there was a place near our house where they had planned some future buildings, but hadn't really started work yet. And so the road it went from a sealed road, and actually there was a 2-lane road quite nearby, and then it just turned off into this back street that then went into a dirt road which had a 90-degree angle. And I'd been watching a bit of rally racing on the TV, and so I thought to myself, I'm going to teach myself how to power slide in this car. And it was not the car for it. This beat up old station wagon with a tiny engine in it. And so I drove down and quite nervously actually drove towards this right hand turn, and it was sharp, 90 degrees. So drove down, grabbed the wheel, and all that happened was the car just turned into the side of the road because I wasn't going fast enough. So I went, okay, pulled back out and then did a lap around a couple of blocks, came back round, psyched myself up, went a little bit faster, got a little bit of a skid going, and then didn't really achieve what I wanted to achieve. So I did my next lap and came around, and this time I went, right, I'm going to get this. And so I went as fast as I thought was good, and then got onto the dirt, flung the wheel round and started to slide, which is exactly what I wanted to do, to keep it going. And then before I knew what was happening, the road was no longer in front of me. I was staring at the fence, and then I was staring at the road again, and I was staring at the fence. And I did actually 2 complete circles and skidded off the road up a small embankment, and the car stopped rocking, and as there was rocking there was this little tink sound, and the car was rocking and it hit against a barbed wire fence that marked the side of the road. I'd never done that before. I didn't have anyone with me teaching me what to do. It was a reckless or a foolish act. And I tell you that because just prior to that, I had passed my university exams actually with 82%. So I'd done quite well. So academically, I was doing quite well. Intellectually, you might say that I was a smart person, but that did not mean I was wise. I did not have the skill to do what I was trying to do. I didn't have the common sense to ask someone to help me. I just made a reckless, a foolish decision. And as we move through our lives, sometimes it can be often easier to recognize a foolish act, something that is not wise at all. And I'm sure as I'm talking to you, you know foolish acts in your life. But we don't want to move through life foolishly. We want to move through life wisely. If you're looking for someone who is wise, what are you looking for?
I think someone who might maybe even intellectually know something, but they actually can put it into practice. They not only maybe know what is a good thing to do, they actually live it.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Words and actions go together, maybe?
It's more than just information and knowledge. Yeah, the ability to apply that information and
Yeah.
knowledge, yes. Do you have someone that you know of who would represent a wise person in your life?
Yeah, I think there's a few people that wise in certain areas, you know, that might have lived a bit more life than I have, and I can see that they actually do what they talk about. And so yeah, I think they are wise. Like there's an older man, it used to be an older couple, but his wife has passed away, but they you know, not only say that they care about people who maybe society wouldn't normally engage with, like they have them to their homes, and
Yes.
they, you know, and so I feel like that they are wise, and so if I'm wanting to, well, used to anyway, when I would go, I'm not really sure what to do about something, I could go to them and they might give me some advice, but
Yeah, definitely. As you're watching this, perhaps you move through life with wisdom already. Perhaps you move through life with actually a whole lot of thought. When I was doing youth work in an accommodation centre, we had a coach that came in and told us, look, we want to move through life thoughtfully. If you are making a decision or responding to stimulus, and that stimulus could be a question, it could be some behaviour from a person. If you're responding in less than 3 seconds, you're actually not responding, you're reacting out of emotion and instinct. When they told us that, I remember thinking, I've lived my whole life responding in less than 3 seconds. It's worked out all right for me, but and perhaps you can relate a bit more to that sentiment. Whatever it is, wisdom is a skill that we can develop. We can gather knowledge and information. We can get better at applying that knowledge and information. And as we go through our lives, we want to be able to recognise wisdom. Recognise wisdom in others, recognise wisdom in front of us. And the idea of wisdom may not be talked about too much today. Often we might use words like strategy or tactics, which means actually the ability to take knowledge and information and apply them to a specific situation. While they might be modern words, the search for wisdom is actually quite ancient. We're going to draw on some ancient wisdom. Now, we're going to start in this book called Proverbs, and what's contained in this book is actually by no means unique. If you were to compare it with other bits of ancient wisdom, for example, the Egyptians wrote some sayings of wisdom. There are a lot of similarities between some of the things that we're going to read tonight and ancient Egyptian wisdom. A lot of similarities between this and ancient Sumerian wisdom. Like there's not some unique claims here, but certainly wisdom is something that I think we can learn a lot from those who have gone before. Some philosophers have said that actually the ancient Greeks were some of the wisest people who lived because they talked about ideas and how those ideas applied to their life. By no means did they have the same access to knowledge that we have today. They did not have the same access to information, but they thought long and hard about how to apply the limited knowledge and information that they had to their lives. Whereas today, we perhaps live where we've got an abundance of knowledge and an overflow of information. Perhaps it's the ability to apply that to our lives that could change. And so I want to start off, and I just want to tell you that wisdom is situational. And I want to read you some ancient wisdom that talks about that right now. And this is from actually a book called Proverbs. And in this book of Proverbs, there is this statement. And if you think that some of the old writings can be contradictory, you'll definitely enjoy this. But this is what it says. In Proverbs chapter 26, it says, "Do not answer the foolish arguments of fools, or you will become as foolish as they are." And then the writer goes right on to say, Be sure to answer the foolish arguments of the fools, or they will become wise in their own estimation. So which one is it?
Both.
Yeah, both. So how do you do both? How do you not answer and answer?
Well, if you just said it was situational, then I guess we need wisdom to work out in the situation when we need to answer and when we don't.
Yeah, because while words seem like a contradiction here, we know moments where people are about to do something foolish and you need to step in. Brett, don't try and power slide your dad's station wagon. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But then there are other times when we know if I say something, this person's just going to ignore me anyway.
Yeah.
Someone once wisely said, don't try to beat a fool at their own game or they'll bludgeon you down with their own stupidity. Like, you know, there are moments in our lives when we just need to say no. And wisdom is often determined by the situation that we are in. There are moments when it's wise to speak up, and there are moments when it's wise to stay silent. There's an old movie called The Book of Eli, and there's an actor who's living in this world that all order has just basically fallen apart, and he has a goal of getting to this safe sanctuary. And so as he's moving through the world, there is violence going on all around him. And he moves through one scene and he sees that someone ahead is being attacked and assaulted. And you see this character crouch down behind a wall and repeat to himself, it's not my fight, it's not my fight, it's not my fight. And then the picture fades and the character continues down the road, and then he comes across another situation where someone else is being assaulted, and this time he makes a decision, I'm going to get involved, and he does his best to protect the person who's being assaulted. And the way that the story is told, we have to make our own decision. Was he being wise or was he being a coward? Was he being wise in stepping in, or was he unnecessarily risking his own life? When you are parenting, there will be moments in your life where you need to step into your child's life and say, I'm not going to let you do this, for their own benefit. And a great example, if you're cooking and there's a hot saucepan on the stove, and particularly when children are young, we say don't, and we might grab someone by the wrist and move their hand. But then there are moments in our life where we need to let a child experience the results of their decision. Wisdom is contextual. And I wonder, as you're watching this, when in your life have you found wisdom to change according to the situation? And notice, we're not talking about values here. We're not talking about principles. But we're actually talking about how to apply sometimes those values, sometimes apply information in a given situation. How has that changed? The second thing I want to say is that wisdom is actually relational. And if we turn to, again, this old book, and right at the start, in Proverbs chapter 1, the writer of this book says this. He takes on the voice of a parent and says, my child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instructions. What you learn for them will crown you with grace and be a chain of honor around your neck. It then goes on and he says, my child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them. They may say, come and join us. Let's ambush the innocent just for fun. Let's swallow them alive like the grave. Think of the great things we'll get. Come, throw your lot in with us and we will share your loot. And he paints a picture here of two people who are going to influence you, of a person moving out and starting to take their first steps in the world, stepping out from underneath their parents' guidance. And he's saying, no, don't leave all that wisdom behind. You can actually learn how to apply knowledge and information in a way that makes your life better if you listen to people who are wise around you. You can take on the foolishness, the recklessness of those around you if you choose to do so. I remember another time when we were young, and there was a group of us, me and my cousins were up on a farm, and one of our friends had borrowed his dad's ute. He was not quite legal age, but because it was a private road, it didn't really matter. And we were driving around. I was standing in the back of this utility, some of you might call it a truck, and there was 5 or 6 of us, and as we were driving around, we were yelling and whooping, come on, faster. And so we started to drive a bit quicker. The young driver was trying to skid. The skids got a bit longer. And we weren't even thinking. We were just enjoying the noise, enjoying the buzz. And yeah, do it again. And I remember we got up a bit of speed and this young guy skidded. And as he skidded, one of the tyres caught on just a small clump of grass, but it was enough to tip the whole ute over, flung me out the back. Everyone in the cab of the truck just popped out like popcorn going off in a saucepan. And we sat there for a moment all shocked. And then we said, rightio, let's stand it back up. And we rolled this car over, and it was a work car and it had beautiful signage on the side, and the mirror had been snapped off. The driver's side door was all crumpled in. The door handle was hanging off. The front panel was gone. And it was just because we were being young and stupid and encouraging each other to be more and more reckless. Perhaps you found yourself in a moment like that where you've done something stupid. And there's, I think, a level at which that's part of growing old. We used to have a group of young people that we called Young and Crazy, and our motto was, to be old and wise, you first must be young and crazy. There are some good things about that. But then there are also moments in our life when we want to apply wisdom. Don't drive that car home. You've had too much to drink. And depending on the people you're with, you can get very different bits of advice. You'll be right, mate. Away you go. Give me your keys. We'll order a cab for you. You might be hanging out and you meet someone. And depending on who you're with, the advice is, all right, let's all go home together. You might be in another group. Oh, go off on your own with this person that you've only ever just met. There's wisdom, and then there's recklessness and foolishness. And as we move through our lives, what we want to be doing, I think for most of us, we actually want to get better at applying the knowledge and information that we have in our lives. We don't want to be the people whose lives serve as a warning to someone else. When we talk about being relational, I actually want to just finish here. There's an invitation to a different kind of wisdom. And I'm actually going to just read you from some other ancient wisdom. And this is from the writings of someone called Jeremiah. And they just simply say this in Jeremiah chapter 9. It says, this is God speaking, and perhaps God will speak to you right now. This is what God says. Do not let the wise boast in their wisdom. Do not let the powerful boast in their power. Do not let the rich boast in their riches. But let those who wish to boast in this alone, that they truly know me and understand that I am the Lord, who demonstrates unfailing love and who brings justice and righteousness to the earth, and that I delight in these things. Based on what we choose as our life goals will determine our wisdom. If I want to exploit people, then wisdom is actually learning how to exploit that. But what we see here is an invitation to wisdom that is relational, that's based on connection, not with a source of information, but actually a person. And that person says here that I demonstrate unfailing love and compassion. How's the level of love in your world right now? Is it failing? Is it ebbing? As we look around the world we live in, as we look within at the world that we're experiencing, we need love in our lives. We see here that this wisdom actually comes from someone who says that I will bring justice to the earth. As we look around at the world that we are moving through, we need justice. Not legalism, but genuine justice for those who are being oppressed. If that's the way that you're choosing to live your life, there is an invitation here. Don't just seek after knowledge or power or riches, but actually true wisdom is relational. Choose a way of life that is based on love and compassion, that is based on justice in this world. Experience the wisdom that a connection with the Creator of the universe offers. And if that's a wisdom that you want to experience, and we want to invite you right now to take a step of faith into that wisdom and to simply say, Jesus, I give you my life. I want your life. I want your wisdom. I want to see a world where there is more love and compassion. I want to see a world where justice takes the place of oppression. How do we get there? In relationship with the giver of all life, the giver of all knowledge. And we simply say, Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. Pray with us now. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. And if you pray that simple prayer, we would love to support you on the next step of your particular process. As you pursue the wisdom that comes from a connection with the Creator of the universe, a wisdom that invites compassion and love into this world, a wisdom that works for justice in this world. We'd love to get a comment from you. We'd love to receive a direct message from you. And if you're passing through Southwest Sydney, we'd love you to join us and other friends around this table as we navigate our way through this world. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.
Bye.